So Atlas Cables was founded 25 years ago, and in the west coast of Scotland, in a place called... It's very simple. We've got a very simple outlook on cable manufacture. We are an engineering company and a material science company, okay? So we don't try to color any music whatsoever, and we're certainly not trying to remove anything. In fact, the goal of Atlas is to minimize information loss as much as possible between point A and point B, and that's how we see our position in the system. Okay, so it's a very simple philosophy, is to provide that connective tissue between all the components, and simply to minimize the information loss. He's an engineer. He's an engineer by trade. It's where he started, working with semiconductors and the like. He's been in this audiovisual business now for many, many years and worked with some great companies. He spent a lot of his time with Lin products. But Kevin has, since coming into the Atlas around 15 years ago, ultimately that makes what every Atlas cable that you see on the market has been designed by Kevin and then worked through to make sure that the concept works. The process for that is that we then have a listening. So when Kevin Kelly, our engineering director, designs a new product, he is using this recipe, which means the conductor is number one of the 5 elements. The conductor, of which it will be the type, usually OCC copper, and configuration, or the amount of material. So for example, solid core versus stranded. Then we have the connector, and we design all plugs in-house, and we have a range of these from our entry level to the top. The dielectric, okay, the insulated material. Then we have the shielding, of which we have the Atlas Grun system, which is our proprietary grounding system. And then finally we have the manufacturing method. And the manufacturing method for us means cold crimping, cold welding. So all Atlas products are cold crimped, meaning that we don't use solder, okay? So that's an important part of our ethos as well. It's not to say that soldering is bad per se, but for us, we talk about consistency of conductor material and consistency of material throughout. So if we have an OCC copper conductor and then we have an OCC copper pin in our plug, then what you'll find is that if we'd added solder at this point, then you're introducing a foreign substance. And also, if I was to solder and you were to solder, we would have very different results, okay? Because I'm not good at it, I don't know if you are, but even if we were, we would have very different results. And so we like to keep consistency. So we talk about being, as far as we know, the most consistent cable brand on the market today. So that's the essential elements are one of the founding principles, the founding pillars. To the website, you'd see many, many products. So we have several ranges, but to make it very easy for us even to remember, but also for our customers, we created these performance levels. So we have upgrade, aspire, and high end. And then we've introduced a very interesting new technology that I'm interested for you to see. It's called Duo, Atlas Duo, D-U-O, okay? And this is a new topology. It's an evolution of a topology. And the AILSA Duo comes in both RCA and XLR. And the whole idea is that it's our pseudo-balanced technology that offers additional shielding for both the send and return channels. So they're both shielded, so they sound a lot better because they keep out the RF signal, RF noise. And so we've introduced those 3 new models. So that's the Hyper XLR, the AILSA XLR, and the AILSA RCA. And Ailsa is definitely what we call a touch. It's a taste of the high end for us, okay? And then in the high end market, we also have, so this is our EOS Superior, okay? And we've introduced a slightly smaller version of this called the EOS Superior 2.5. This is the EOS Superior 4.0, which is the top end power cable in the Atlas range. This one here, which is the existing model which came out a few months ago, is the 4 square millimeter conductor in here. The new one that we have released is 2.5 millimeters, so it's slightly narrower. However, what gives it its advantage is the amount of shielding, screening that we have in here. And this is, so it's got 3 screens around the conductor, around the dielectric, which means that no RF is getting in and none is coming out. So it makes for an exceptionally quiet power cable, which will add performance to your system. What I can talk about is that the purpose of the plug from both elements of it is that it is very low mass, and that is the advantage of doing the 3D printing as well, that you can create something that is very low mass, low vibration, which is what you want in a connector, a hi-fi connector, so it doesn't color the sound in any way. So we want it to be as low mass as possible, and this is our lowest mass, highest performance plug, the Atlas. So what we have here is an example of the Atlas Grun grounding system, okay? And what that does is it takes the cable. So in terms, we talked about the shielding earlier on being very important. Well, this has 2 drain wires coming off here, and typically that could be floating, but what that does is we can connect the Grun adapter. Now, instead of what you would maybe normally do with an earthing wire and connect it to the grounding post or the earth post on your preamp, what you can, and then this plugs straight into the wall, and you'll notice that it only has an earth pin. Okay, and this just removes all the RF and the noise from the system, and it is a very, very cost-effective and explosive upgrade.
Okay. 好啦，咁而家喺 V8 嗰度咧，即場見到佢哋試緊嘅咧，喺個 streamer deck 上邊咧就插咗 analog 嘅線啦，有呢個 balance 嘅，亦都有條 LAN 線，都係 LS cable 嘅。另一個重點啦，而家嘅 LS cable 咧，亦都有呢個接地線嘅。咁你見到綠色呢一條就係啦，嗰條 LAN 線同埋嗰條喇叭線都 ground 咗喺呢度嘅。嗱，而家就正喺現場聽緊頭先提到嗰幾款 LS cable。大家有興趣就約個時間上嚟 V8 呢度聽下啦。